Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pits of Motor Chaos. This is Joseph. I got my special guest, top funny car driver, Bill Bernard. How you doing, Bill?
Doing good. How are you doing?
Not bad. So how you doing through these stay-at-home times? You doing all right?
Yeah, we're doing okay. We're pretty lucky. For my day job, I own an auto repair shop, so we still have cars breaking down. So yeah, we're holding our own. So can't complain too much right now.
Yeah. So you anxious to get out drag racing?
Yeah. We got out early this year. We did some testing in Dallas, and then our first race was actually Belle Rose in Louisiana back in March, and so we ran that race, and now everything's actually parked in Texas because we had two races coming up in Texas that both got postponed due to the virus going on right now. So yeah, my stuff is all sitting at Chase Copeland's chassis shop right now. We're just waiting to get back out and hopefully run Dallas they're saying like May 22nd, 23rd.
So how many events were you supposed to do this year altogether?
We had 10 on the schedule. We were planning on running 7 regional races and then 3 national events. And then we actually had 1 Funny Car Chaos race on our schedule, so I guess it'd been 11 races. But now schedule's completely up in the air, just depending on, how the rest of this deal breaks down right now that we're working with.
So how'd you do last year?
Last year, actually, we just purchased this car from Nancy Matter and went through and did some updates and everything on it. So we only went to 2 races last year. We ran Denver, and then we took it and we went to Topeka, and we had a couple of engine problems that we were dealing with, and the car was about 65 pounds heavy. So after wounding a second engine in Topeka, we made the decision to go ahead and call it a year. Brought everything home, took it completely back apart, put a different body on it, made some engine changes, and we got about 40 pounds out of the car, and we figure we're up on horsepower now. So we got high hopes for this year. Right now, we're just trying to figure out, really what the chassis wants with the changes that we've made.
Right. So Bill, let me go back, in the time and ask you this: how did you get into drag racing in the first place?
I grew up a gearhead. Watched a lot of drag racing on TV. Went to drag races while growing up, and so just kind of got hooked that way. And then in about 97, I started putting my first, race car together and really started running that in 98 and 99. And, that was, 11-second Nova. And then after that, I put together a little 64 Chevy 2, and that car would run 890s. And that's kind of where it started.
So what year did you start driving funny cars?
I started driving a funny car 6 years ago. The first time I was ever in a funny car was in Noble, Oklahoma in 2014. So it was kind of a silly deal because I'd been running some local Outlaw 10.5 stuff here at home, and I ran our local Quick 16 class for years and years, and we had good success with it, and we were pretty dominant with the Outlaw 10.5 car locally. And that year we had been to a handful of finals, and we had won a couple of races. And so we rolled into Noble. I wasn't licensed to drive a funny car or anything, and we had it, I had it in my head that I'm going to show up, get licensed, qualify for the race, and go out and dominate. And, just totally humbled the first time I got in the car because it's the first time I'd ever sat behind the engine. And, I'd always driven, nitrous big block cars, and now I'm driving this blown Hemi, and it slapped me around like I was a rag doll and showed me, nah, you got a lot to learn before you're going to go out and play with these guys. And it's taken 6 years, and we've still not won a race. We've been to a handful of finals, but I mean, these cars will humble you, and the guys that are driving them, there's none of them out there that are any slouch. So pretty impressive cars to actually drive.
So no claustrophobia when they put the hood down on you for the first time?
No, not at all. I mean, it's, the first time the body came down, I was like, wow, this is completely different. So, but, once the engine starts and, body's coming down, I make eye contact with my one crew guy that's dropping the body down. He gives me a point of the finger. I put the car in gear and off we go. It's a kick. So enjoy it a lot.
So what made you decide to do the Top Alcohol Funny Car?
What got me into it was actually my crew chief and my partner, Tony Eben. We had been friends for a lot of years, and him and his brother had run Pro Mod cars and done, a lot of heads-up stuff, and we did some match racing with them back in the day. And their truck broke down, and they weren't able to get the funny car to the racetrack, and called me wanting to borrow one of my tractors. And at that point, it kind of clicked, and I called him, and I'm like, you guys are short a truck, and I'm kind of short a crew. So why don't we put a deal together, and I'll bring my truck and trailer. You guys bring your funny car, and let's go out and make a run at this. And so that's how I got into the funny car. And then when Tony's brother Andy decided to get out, I bought Andy out, and I think that's been about 4 years ago now. So kind of got into the funny car deal by accident.
But now you love it, right?
Oh, I love it. Yeah. I mean, we 2 years ago, I sold our old funny car to Kyle Smith out of Wichita, Kansas, and went and bought a Pro Mod car. Thought we'd go and run some Midwest Pro Mod races. And we put that car together. We showed up to one race, and we realized it wasn't for us. And they got a great program. Keith Haney does really good with that program over there, and making sure the racers are taken care of. But it didn't meet up with kind of what our goals were. So put that car up for sale and put a deal together with Nancy, and bought her old alcohol funny car. That's how we got back into it.
So now the body you currently have on it, what's the make of body that's on there now?
The body that is on it now is a 2014 Mustang, and I just bought that body from Rick Jackson Motorsports last fall out of California. Before that, we had a Monte Carlo body on it.
Now, what are you running a screw blower for engine?
Yep. Yes, we run a it's a 521, and we run a D rotor, and then we're limited on overdrive and everything else. So, but yeah, we run Brad blocks, and then we run Noonan cylinder heads, Noonan intake manifold, bullet cams, diamond pistons, MGP rods. So,
what kind of tires you running on there?
What kind of tire are we running? We're running the Hoosier. We run the 36-inch Hoosier on the car on a liner wheel.
So now, when you first got into drag racing, like going to drag racing stuff years ago, were there any drivers that were inspirational to you back then?
Back then, watching, just growing up watching and stuff like that, I always liked Jim Head because, he did everything himself. So, I remember, he had one dragster where the wing on the nose of the car was different than anything else that anybody was running at the time. So, him, always liked Warren Johnson. I always liked the hands-on guys. I like the guys that actually could get in and work on their stuff, and, that's how I am. So I drive the car, and then, I handle mechanical on one side of the engine.
Now, who are all of your crew that keeps this car going?
So there's five of us total. Tony Eben is the crew chief on the car. Tony's brother Andy is our bottom end guy. Then I have right side cylinder head, right side engine guy. His name is Jeff Flife. He's been a crew guy in the alcohol ranks forever. He was a crewman for Cy Chesterman for years, so we're very lucky to have him. And Jeff's son Ryan, he's learning to do bottom end with Andy right now, and Ryan actually floats. We have a team car out of Minnesota that's an alcohol dragster. And so Ryan actually floats between both those cars. And then I handle left side of the engine and obviously drive the car, and then I drive the truck and trailer as well.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So now, do you have any sponsorship?
Yeah, our sponsors, we've got Race Winning Brands. They're on board with us. They help us out as far as on some purchase pricing. Race Winning Brands, that's Diamond Pistons, MGP Rods, and Anthony Giannone at MGP Rods. He's the guy that really, put that deal together for us as far as, getting us hooked up with Race Winning Brands. They're also Trend, all kinds of different companies like that. Then locally, I've got, obviously, B&A Automotive, which is my company. We put quite a bit of money into it. Industrial Chemical Corporation, they sponsor our alcohol for us. Denver Metal Finishing, they help us out. I mean, anything we need anodized, anything like that, they take care of all of our needs with that. And, they got a small machine shop, let us use whatever we need to when time comes. Quick Drive, this car, we run a converter in this car. So, the Graves family that owns Quick Drive, they help us out where they can. And then Mike Strasberg from B&J Transmissions, he helps us out, wherever he can as well.
So now, Bill, after all these years of drag racing, now what still keeps you passionate about it?
Right now, what keeps me most passionate about it is driving this car for 6 years without winning a race. So, that's right now. That's kind of probably gotten a little chip on my shoulder a little bit, just from coming out of other classes and having the success that we did. That's probably been a lot of it, and a lot of that is just me getting myself calmed down when driving these cars. I've given away a couple of the races where we've been in finals. So, by just, being too amped up, went to a final round here in Denver in 2017. I went red and we set the track record. So for Alcohol Funny Car in Denver that year. So it's just a matter of keeping myself calm, and that's about it.
Yeah, hopefully you'll see some Wallies in the future.
Yeah, the Wally is the big goal. That's for sure. So, we've got the team to do it. We've got the right parts in the car. It's just a matter of, getting everything all to line up.
Now, when you first started your drag racing career, was your family involved with it?
When I first started drag racing, I was already married, and my wife April, she went to races with us for a long time. And then when our daughter turned about 12, Elizabeth, she started having more activities and stuff, being, getting ready to be a teenager and stuff like that. So my wife concentrated a lot more on things like that, while I kept drag racing, locally, running, quick series at Vandermeer and running, local heads up stuff and things like that. As far as the funny car deal goes now, everything is so much travel related. We're in town once a year at Vandermeer Speedway for a regional race, and my wife comes to that. But other than that, she can't get away from work very much to be on the road like I can.
Right. So what was the experience like for you the first time ever driving a funny car?
Well, I tell you what, the very first hit I ever made in a funny car, the thing, it went out and it just, knocked the tires off it right at the step. And, so I caught it and bailed and rolled off the track. So I was very happy that I didn't wing the thing and, hurt something by over revving it. And then the next pass, Tony got everything calmed down and it took off. I wasn't using a chin strap on my helmet at the time. My helmet flipped up. I couldn't see. The thing stood up on the wheelie bar, across the center line. I tagged the cone. And the only thing I can remember is Tony getting on the radio and he goes, "Well, you can get a license like that." So that was my first experience driving a funny car. And my third pass in that car, it shredded the pinion gear and we were done for the weekend. So, yeah, the first time I went out in a funny car, I came home and I was like, I'm just going to get back in my Outlaw 10.5 car and I'm going to go and run that. But we got everything put back together, went back out the next spring, tested a bunch here in Denver at Vandermeer Speedway, got my license, and it's completely different deal now. So a lot more confident in the car and, I've got over 100 passes in a funny car now, so a lot more confident in what's going on. But yeah, first time I ever went out, I was completely lost. I was so far behind what the car was doing that I was driving everything home before I knew what happened the second pass.
So what's the quickest pass you've made in a funny car now?
We actually have the national record for a converter-driven funny car, and we've been 549. So I went 549 in Houston and been 549 again in Topeka, Kansas. So we're a little behind the clutch cars, running a converter. I would say we're probably a solid 5-6 miles an hour down on the clutch cars. Just based on, converter slip and things like that. So we have to run, a converter-driven funny car quite a bit different than the clutch guys do. We have to be very aggressive down low. So, for us, normally we need to be 60 footing, in that 930 range, and because by half track we're usually even with them, but we're down 3 or 4 mile an hour. But by the time you get out on the other end, we're down 6. Sometimes I've seen some of the high horsepower Camaros and stuff like that. We're down 8-9 miles an hour on those cars. So we're leaving some things on the table right now with the torque converter, and we're actually working on a lot of that stuff. Right now we're working on some of it in-house, building some of our own stators for converters. And then we're doing some work with Greg Samuel, who owns FTI Converters out of Florida. And he's been helping us on some converter stuff as well. So like I said, we have to run our deal a little bit different. There's just not very many cars running in the alcohol ranks that are running a torque converter. You got Kyle Smith and his father Stan. They're running a converter car, which is actually my old car. Then the car that I'm driving now, Dean Dubbin out of Minnesota with an alcohol dragster. Phil Ez is running a converter. And then Yurka Kaplan out of Canada, he's running a converter. So there's not a lot of information you can lean on right now. So everything that we're doing, we kind of have to innovate ourselves. So we're taking a lot of it on our own.
So now, when you ran the car last month, how'd the car run for you?
We really struggled. We went to Extreme Raceway in Dallas, and that's an 8th mile facility. Nice track, all concrete. Great people. The track prep was really good for a track rental situation for us. And like I said, really struggling. The car's way up on horsepower, and the chassis not happy. Our best pass we made in the 8th, we went a 374, and then, had a couple of issues where we split an oil tank and had to do some repairs, and then went to Baton Rouge, ran the race in Belrose, and we made 6 attempts, and the car probably didn't move 30 feet all weekend. So just, way overpowered, and, we're having a real hard time getting the hang of it right now. So yeah, we're really looking forward to getting back out and spending some time to figure out what this car is going to really want.
So now with the car sitting in Texas right now, is it ready to run, or you need to do some work on it?
Well, with it sitting in Texas, went ahead and had Chase Copeland. He's a chassis builder out of Texas that builds a lot of alcohol, builds a lot of A-fuel cars, race-winning A-fuel cars. He's a great chassis builder. Had him, he built a new wheelie bar for us, and like I mentioned earlier, we were having problems splitting an oil tank, so Chase put a new fuel tank and a new oil tank in it, and made some modifications to the body mounting and things like that. So we need to, for our next race, we're going to have to get out there a couple days early, do some plumbing and move a couple of things around. And we want to make a torque converter change that some stuff we've been working on, here in the race car shop at my house. So we'll have to do that, get the drive out of it and put this different converter in it, and so we can go out and do some testing. So yeah, we got about a day and a half worth of work that we need to do before we go out again. So we'll be doing that on the road.
All right. So now, Bill, when you're out on the track racing, do you have any pre-race rituals or superstitions when you're out there?
Superstition, not necessarily. Rituals, I like the same guy strapping me in the car every time. Usually when they come around and they tell us that we're 15 minutes away or whatever, I got a big bucket of atomic fireballs on the bench in the trailer. I grab an atomic fireball. That's kind of my thing. So, but yeah. My big ritual is consistency. I want all my guys doing the same thing every single time. So, same guy strapping me in, same guy, doing whatever when we're out there. Same guy dropping the body, same guy starting the car. That's probably my biggest thing because if we just, for me, mentally, one little thing out of place and it just kind of throws me into a tailspin.
I haven't had an atomic fireball in a long time now.
Well, they still sell them.
All right. That's good to know. Now, what kind of preparation goes in for you to get the car ready for a weekend of drag racing?
So, our biggest thing is after every race, we tear the thing completely apart, blower off, heads off, pistons out of it, and we put a new set of oil rings on every race, and we realign, the first and second ring, just get all that stuff kind of back where we like it in the cylinder, go through, check valve springs, go through, make sure that everything is happy in the converter and the drive. Every couple of races, pull trannies apart, make sure sprags and everything are good. Rotate tires, every 5 passes, nut and bolt the entire car. Just going through and doing all that stuff. Cleaning the fridge out in the lounge in the trailer, making sure the coffee pot doesn't have grounds in it so you're dealing with a bunch of mold when you get to the next track. It's just all those little things like that you don't really think about. Those are the things that we're doing, making sure that, the brake pads are good on the car, the calipers aren't falling off of it. Go over the entire car with Scotch-Brite and Marvel Mystery Oil and just make sure, there's no cracks or anything in the chassis or anything like that.
So now, what do you enjoy most out of being a drag racer?
The people, my crew. I'm very good friends with, I mean, there's so many good guys that are out there. I mean, I really enjoy getting to the racetrack and just, being able to just get to hang out with those people at the racetrack. I sometimes I think we have more fun after on a Friday night after we get our one qualifying session and we get back. If the run went good, we get our service done on the car, fire the grill up, get some food going, have a beer, and get around and just see the people at the racetrack. I mean, that's probably my most cherished part of this whole deal is the people that we race with.
Now, is there anything you hate the most being a drag racer?
Yeah, losing and having to drive the whole thing home.
Yeah.
Probably Sunday afternoon when you're all done getting everything tore down, because it seems like we can put the entire pit together in an hour and a half, and it takes us three and a half hours to tear everything down. Get the awning down, everything put away, and so yeah. Tearing down and putting everything away at night on Sunday, that's probably the worst part of it.
Now, Bill, if you didn't become a drag racer, what do you think you'd be doing?
I'm not sure what I'd be doing, but I'm sure it'd probably be fast and dangerous.
You love that need for speed, right?
Yeah, it's always been, I mean, it was, whether it's going to be, flying a plane or doing something with a helicopter or fast motorcycle or whatever. Wasn't going to be a boat because I don't know how to swim to this day, so I try and keep myself off the water.
So now, if you could have your fans remember one thing about you, what would that be?
Probably my perseverance, just staying at this deal, being a underfunded team. The reason that we have what we have is because we work on it every Saturday. I mean, when everything's in town, my entire crew is at the shop behind my house, and we put 12 hours into this car every Saturday. And if there's things that have to be done during the week, my crew chief, Tony, and I mean, we're here, we're working on the thing and putting into it whatever it takes to make sure the car is ready to go. So for us, that would be it.
Now, what
we've achieved the success without having a huge budget to do it.
Now, what kind of milestones have you reached in your drag racing career so far?
Well, the 549 numbers for ET and the funny car, those are a huge milestone for me. I mean, that's the quickest I've ever been. But I won the Pro Street Championship in 2007 and in our local heads up deal here, and had a lot of success running our quick series stuff that we ran here back when I was still running a door car. So that would be my milestones.
Now, what are some of your favorite tracks to run on?
My favorite tracks, my very favorite track is Earlville, Iowa. It just, you drive through a campground and come out and there's a racetrack. And we went out there and we runnered that race up 2 years in a row, and we had the track record there at one time. And it's just, it's a real narrow groove, and it's a real short shutdown area, and, the thing starts to get away from you a bit, and you're looking one way and it's a cornfield, and the other way it's the wall, and it's just a great racetrack. So Earlville, and then obviously my home track where I grew up, Vandermeer Speedway. Great family. They run the track with a lot of passion. They run the track like a business, so you have to respect that. And they're very professional. And then after that, it would be Topeka.
Now, do you prefer quarter mile or eighth mile?
I prefer quarter mile racing, but we've done a lot of 8th mile racing as well. But there's nothing like the mile an hour. Picking up 55, 56 mile an hour from 660 feet to 1,320 feet is massive. So when you're picking up that extra 55 mile an hour going out the back, there's nothing like that rush in a quarter-mile drag race.
Now, of course, if you do that funny car chaos event, you'll be doing the 8th mile.
We will be doing 8th mile, and we've got to tune up, hopefully for that. As long as we don't take too big a chunks and everything, and run the racetrack, we feel pretty confident that we can go and run some of those races and have a lot of fun with it, and hopefully maybe have some pretty good success with it. So I've learned after my first time out, I try and be humble nowadays, so I don't want to go out there and go, yeah, we're going to go out there and we're just going to start thumping on people, because that's not the case. Anybody that's crazy enough to get into one of these cars, they're good enough to win whatever they do.
Well, chaos will be a fun event for you. You'll line up with the Nitro guys.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. So
you could gun after Kenny Singleton and his alcohol funny car, who's been dominating in the funny car chaos. Yeah.
He's got a really good handle on his program, and I've watched him from afar. I don't know him at all. I've never met him or anything, but just watching what he's done with his program in that 8th mile deal, he's definitely the force to reckon with in that right now, and he's got a good handle on his program. So I know I've been faster and quicker than him, but we're all dealt the same racetrack. And we're not out there on a national event prepped racetrack that we're used to racing on, or a regional prep track. So he's definitely going to have experience on us there on trying to get down a track that is prepped differently than what we're used to.
Yeah, they got other people like the young dry hop king Jordan Blue. That'd be cool to line up against Jordan.
Yeah.
The dry hop king, man.
Yeah.
Now, where do you get all your fire safety equipment from, Bill?
Big Ben at DJ Safety, he takes really good care of us. He does all my fire bottle stuff, chute deployment bags, things like that. I wear a Sparco fire suit, Simpson helmet, Simpson boots. But, that stuff, we're just, that's kind of internet stuff. But as far as, the stuff as far as personal service and things like that, where I can pick up the phone and talk to somebody and get something special or whatever, it's definitely been at DJ Safety.
Now, have you ever had any accidents or close calls in your drag racing career so far?
I have, it would have been 2007. I was at a match race in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and we were running, it was like probably about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Track was kind of cold. There'd been the wind had been blowing all day and got some sand on the track, and car got away from me in the shutdown area and kind of backed into the wall. I hit the chutes and probably got on the brakes maybe a little bit too hard and got pulled into the wall and caved a quarter panel in, and then I ended up in the sand at Bandimere one time. So, but that's been it. Nothing ever, super crazy catastrophic where I had to get hauled off in a helicopter or anything. I've never been hurt. Everything's always been, fix the car back up and go back out. So
yeah,
nothing real crazy.
Yeah, that Doug Gordon accident looked pretty scary last year.
That was very scary. So, yeah, we were really happy to see Doug, actually walk out of that. I was watching that, on NHRA All Access when that happened, and I know Doug, and he's a great guy, and his mom and dad are great people, and I mean they'd do anything for any of us running in the funny car deal. And yeah, he walked out of that deal. He was very lucky, so not a scratch.
Yeah, it's a good thing they build these cars safely as they do.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah. Yeah, anybody complaining about having to research stuff and everything else, I'm not going to complain about, having, the safety equipment, money involved.
Yep. All right, so I'm going to ask you some fun questions here now.
Yeah.
Outside of drag racing, do you have any other hobbies at all, Bill?
Not really. I play golf with my wife, but we don't do that enough, especially right now. And that's about it. And hanging out with my I got a grandson and a granddaughter. So I got a 10-year-old granddaughter and a 9-month-old grandson. So if I'm not racing, that's what I'm doing.
Have you ever been
running my business?
Have you ever been fishing?
No, never been fishing.
All right, now, if you were able to time travel back in the time, would you do anything differently with your drag racing career?
Probably not, because I've always kind of just traded up to what I have now. So I have everything I have now from my previous experiences. So I can't say that I would change it.
All right. So what is your favorite food you like to eat?
My favorite food, I like Italian. So spaghetti, pizza, anything like that. Anything that's got just a little bit of an Italian kick, a little bit of spice from Italian food. Now,
does the wife cook?
Wife cooks. Wife's an excellent cook.
So what's your favorite dish that your wife makes?
I would say probably. Oh God, I don't know. she makes a pretty good spaghetti, so that would probably have to fall into it.
How about you? You cook at all?
I do some barbecuing, and if she's working late or something like that, I'll do something on the stove. But for the most part, my wife handles all that stuff. So my wife pretty much runs our day-to-day lives, so I can run the business and concentrate on everything else going on.
Now, do you barbecue at the track?
We do barbecue out at the track, so we do that quite a bit. And then our crew chief, Tony and Andy, they're Italians, so a lot of times Tony will do up some sauce and some stuff like that at home and get that all ready, and he'll actually bring that on the road. And we'll do some Italian nights at the racetrack as well. Nice.
So now, when you're at the track for a day of racing, do you eat regularly, or do you eat very light before a race?
I eat pretty light. Most of my guys, man, they love to eat, and especially Jeff. I mean, that guy can eat all day. I've watched that guy eat like 9 oranges. But I'll usually, when the guys are sitting down having lunch, a lot of times I have a hard time just sitting down because I'm amped up or, watching different things or trying to, just keep my mind clear. I'll grab some lunch meat and maybe wrap a piece of cheese around it and have that and, a drink or, but yeah, I don't sit down and have a regular meal in the middle of the day.
So you wait till after the races are done, then eat a big meal?
Exactly.
What's your favorite?
Yeah, usually, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Usually what?
Yeah, usually we, once the car's all serviced at the end of the night, we get the grill going, and that's when we finally sit down and actually have a meal. And we're pretty good, we kind of, we're family when we're out on the road, so we sit down together and we have a meal. So have a couple of beers and shoot the shit about what happened that day.
What's your favorite beer?
Bud Light. In a bottle, glass bottle, aluminum bottle. That's not a bottle. That's a can that's shaped like a bottle.
All right. What's your favorite non-alcoholic beverage?
My favorite non-alcoholic beverage would be Dr. Pepper.
Favorite movie of all time?
Top Gun.
Favorite music?
favorite music. I like Metallica. Kind of, late '80s, early '90s rock, stuff like that.
Now, Metallica, you like newer Metallica or older Metallica?
Kind of older.
Like Master of Puppets back then?
Yep.
Ride the Lightning and all that. The Black Album.
Yeah, exactly. Some of that stuff.
All right, so where am I now? Oh, okay, well, when you were a kid growing up, did you have a favorite cartoon?
Bugs Bunny.
Bugs Bunny was always good.
Oh yeah.
They don't make them like they used to.
No, not at all.
Cartoons these kids watch these days. I mean, some of them are terrible.
Yeah, a little too much blood and guts for a cartoon nowadays, it seems like, for me.
Yeah. So, you have a most embarrassing moment on the track?
Well, I ran one of my crew guys over in Belrose here a couple of months ago, which he got hauled off in an ambulance. That was embarrassing and probably the most scary thing that I've ever had happen to me in my life. So that would be my most embarrassing moment.
How'd you do that?
Not paying attention.
Yeah.
Car got, with this car having a converter, if it's in gear when it gets started, off it goes. You're not going to stop it. And the car got started, and the reverser was actually in reverse, and the car took off to the back, and it pinned Andy and knocked him down. And so, yeah, probably the most scary and embarrassing moment in my life right there.
Wow.
All in one shot.
Wow. So what would you consider to be the fondest memory of your drag racing career?
My fondest memory would be the first time I went to a final round in Earlville, Iowa. So that would be one, and probably my second favorite would be when I went 5:52 in Earlville, Iowa, which at that time that was the fastest I had ever been, and it set the track record for Earlville on that pass, and the car it drove like a Cadillac. I mean, when I got out, I figured the car went 570, and it went 552. Those would be my most favorite times.
Wow. So if people want to find out where you're going to be running at this year, what's the best way for people to find the schedule?
We're on Facebook, BT&T Motorsports, so BTNT, like dynamite. Then we also have BTNTmotorsports.com. We have a website, or they can find me personally on Facebook, Bill Bernard.
Awesome. Well, Bill, I want to thank you very much for taking time to do this interview. You have any final words for the fans out there?
No, I just, everybody stay safe through this and stay strong and, do your part, and we'll all be out enjoying life as it was meant to be here pretty quick, hopefully. Yeah. And if you're at the racetrack, come and see us.
Well, thanks again, Bill, and you have a great night and stay safe.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.